So before we get going, if you have any props, and by props I mean like a pillow or something to put underneath your knees, it could be a foam roller if you have something like this to help accommodate. However poses feel in your body, just have that handy if you want your towel or your water nearby. That way you don't have to reach too far for it. And I'm going to move my thing just a little bit. So forgive me, Daniel. Zoom is not my format, but I'm getting there. So it's all about growth this year, for sure. So let's get going. Come to the center of your mat. And go ahead and really put your roots down. Root down into all four corners of your foot. Lift the toes, kind of grip the mat. And we're going to work on stacking all of our joints. So we're going to root in. Our feet are about hips width distance apart. Toes are pointing forward. And then once we really plant our feet, we root down into the mat and we become grounded. Let's go ahead and just get our knees stacked over our ankles. Let's bring the pelvic basket, kind of tilt it forward to bring our hips stacked over our knees. We're trying to bring our body into alignment. So once our lower half is stacked and everybody is situated in a position where they can get comfortable, I don't want you to be tensed up, but I want your body to be in alignment to where you can relax into that pose. Stacking further, we're going to get our shoulders. We're going to stack our shoulders over our hips. We're going to open up the collarbone by taking the shoulder heads and allowing them to roll back. Our hands are going to be drifting along our sides with our palms facing forward. Then we're going to take our head. We're going to stack our head and our neck right over all of our other joints, and we're going to close the eyes. So as we transition now from our busy day onto our yoga mats, imagine there is a string tied to the top of your head, and someone is gently pulling that, allowing ourselves to grow a little bit taller. Our arms are weightless at our sides as our shoulder blades roll down our back as we stand strong in our mountain pose, Tadasana. In yoga, the mountain pose is the pose which it is said all other poses flow from, like rivers flow down the mountain. And it's so rare in our busy days where we could just stop and really feel what's going on inside the body. So many times our minds and our bodies are in two different places. But when we stop and we focus on our breath, we start to bring those two things back into alignment. And as we stand strong in our mountain pose today, I ask that you set an intention for your practice today. You root into what brought you to your mat. And if nothing comes to mind, I invite you to take an attitude of gratitude. One, that we could be here together. Two, that we take this time to spend on ourselves, because you are so worth it, and you are valuable, and you are seen. And I'm so happy to be here with you today. Let's start to move our breath with our body. So on an inhale, take the arms out to the side and bring them up towards the sky, reaching towards the sky. And on your exhale, pull the elbows down, palms face forward as we come into these cactus goalpost arms, moving into our lat muscles. Inhale, raise it back up. And we'll move through this movement, waking our body up. Our exhales, drop the elbows down, open the heart space. Inhale, rise up. Hands come back towards the sky. Exhale, drop the elbows, really open that heart space up, let the heart shine forward. Inhale up. We'll do 2 more. Inhale, drop the elbows. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Inhale, back up. Eyes can be open or remain closed. Exhale, drop the elbows. And inhale, raise back up. Take the right hand and grab the left wrist. And we're going to extend a side body bend over to the right side. So we're guiding that left hand up and over the body. The hips, the knees, and the ankles are staying stacked just where we left them. And the bend comes from the waist. Now when you breathe in, extend a little taller. And when you exhale, sink a little deeper as we move into that side body. Our inhales send the breath down to the intercostal muscles of that left side, those ribs, as we feel them expand and contract. Next, inhale, bring us back up through center. Grab the right wrist with the left hand, and then bring this stretch over to the left side. Once again, our inhales make us a little bit taller, and our exhales drop us in a little bit deeper. As we move through these poses, I ask that you not sprint towards your edge, but move towards it mindfully, slowly, and then once you find it, honor that and be kind to it. When you go to the Grand Canyon, you don't sprint to the rail to see how far you can go. We walk our way up, and then we look out over the horizon. Your next inhale comes up. Exhale, bring the hands back down and to heart center. Close the eyes. Remember the intention you set for the class as we invite some more movement to wake up the spine. Inhale, raise the hands up. Bend at the elbows. Take the hands to opposite elbow. So left hand comes to right elbow, and we make our little square up here at the top. And we're going to find some movement rotating from the hip. We're going to drop over to the right side as we bend at the waist, and we come down into a fold, moving through this range of motion through our hips. So we're waking all of this up. Our inhales go back up at the top, and we exhale as we roll down into our forward fold, but we're moving through the pose. Remembering to breathe, make 3 really big circles at your own pace. Off to the right. And then after your third one, back up at the top, we'll bring it over to the left side. Drop her down. As we go around the world, finding out all those sticky parts. If you come to something and it doesn't feel good, just bypass it on the next circle. Bend the knees as much as necessary in order to get that deep fold as we do 3 circles over to the right. Moving with our breath. Breathing in, starting to warm up the core. Once you move through your circles, we're going to bring it all the way down to a forward fold. So we're going to bend at the waist. We're going to drop the arms down. Allow the top of the head to release, reaching towards the floor. Put whatever bend in the knees that you need to in order to bring your chest as close to your thighs as possible. Now, a lot of men tend to be really tight in the hamstrings, and I am no exception. So I always take a real deep, generous bend in order to allow my chest to reach towards my thighs and my head to collapse to the ground. Arms are hanging heavy, swaying side to side in a rag doll. You should feel this in your low back, allowing it to release. Be sure to take a couple of good deep breaths here. Feel the belly expand against the thighs. Drawing our awareness to how much space we're filling up. And exhale, let it all out and sink a little bit deep. Our next inhale, come up halfway. Bring our shoulders in line with our hips. Back is straight as if it were a table and someone could set a glass on it. Hands are at the shins or on the knees. But we're not pressing in, we're just giving ourselves some small support there. And then exhale, we're going to drop her down. We're going to plant our hands, walk our feet back to our first downward dog. So in this first downward dog, we want to go ahead and find any kind of organic movement that you may need to find out how this pose feels in your body. I like to roll up into a plank, hear all the pops and crackles. Our feet, our heels are driving towards the mat, but if they don't reach that, that's okay. Make sure you give yourself plenty of space. The closer your feet are to your hands, the harder this pose is. So give yourself the space there. Root down into all four corners of your hand. The knuckle at the base of the index finger likes to walk its way up. Root down through the palm. Fin the hips up higher to elongate the spine. And breathe. We'll find some stillness here in this down dog for 3 breaths. Noticing any heat that's been generated in the body through the movement. Hips come up. One more big deep breath. Exhale, look at your hands. Walk, step, or float to the top of your mat back to your fold. Inhale halfway. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, bring the arms up, root down through the feet. Come up all the way to the sky. Exhale, hands at heart center. Now we'll move for what we call the sun salutation A for 2 rounds. So on an inhale, raise the hands up towards the sky. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway, back is straight. Exhale, we'll drop down to the floor. All the way to our bellies, low and slow with control. Once we find our way down there, we're going to come up for 5 cobras. So on an inhale, the lift comes from the back, not from the hands. Exhale, drop it down. Inhale on up with your cobra. Hands are light. Exhale, fold. Back down. 3 more. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down. Inhale, cobra. Again, it comes from the low back. Exhale, down. We're not worried about height as much as we are the movement. And on this last cobra, inhale and hold. Hands can get light. Come up off the mat if you want. I wish Cobra was here. Him and Sunflower, that would be great. And go ahead and come all the way down to the floor. Tuck the toes. Bring the hands to the shoulders. Push into the mat. Up and back, downward dog. So that sequence is what we call our vinyasa sequence. It's very popular in modern day yoga. And it's a series of movements that you can adapt any which way that you want. So on this next one, we're not going to do 5 cobras, we'll do 1. But we'll move through that whole sequence and I'll cue any adaptations you may need. So inhale the hips up a little higher. Exhale, walk, step, or float to the top of your mat. Come up in our fold. Inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, we're going to come all the way back down through our fold, bending at the waist, head drops. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, plant the hands. And we can lower down either through a plank or we can drop our knees and lower down slow with control, keeping our back straight. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. So that's a very common thing you'll see in modern yoga studios. You guys are all officially yogis now. So you've been put through the paces, and now you can show everybody your pedigree. On an inhale, let's walk back up. Exhale, back up to our forward fold. Inhale all the way up. Bring our hands to heart center. Now bring your feet either hip width distance apart or the big toes can touch, depending on your stability and how comfortable you are. I actually like to have my feet about hip width distance for this next pose. This is what we call our yoga chair. So it's not as inviting as a regular chair, but it's great for building strength in our quads and our legs, and also helping us keep us mindful of our alignment. So with standing here at prayer, hands are at heart center, we're not going to bend forward and bend our knees. We're going to try to keep our stack, hands together. We're going to drop our rear end, knees bend. We're light in our toes, and we're heavy into our heels and then the four corners of our foot. So our weight is evenly distributed around all 4 points of the foot. Toes are light. Trying to keep our back nice and straight. And remember to breathe. This is a difficult yoga pose. So be mindful of the stories we tell ourselves. Take one last inhale here. Exhale, stand up, fold at the waist. Walk it back to down dog. Hips come up. Let's raise our right leg up towards the sky. Now we're thinking extension, not height. We don't want to open our hips. Our hips are still square. Toes are pointed down. Heels extending to the back of the room. If you want more height, it comes from raising the hips. And then on your exhale, bend the knee, bring the foot forward as far as it'll go. And then we'll stand up nice and slow. Inhale into our lunge. Again, Ruth, be kind to yourself here. Find a position that works. We're working on that stack. Shoulders over hips. Points of the hips are pointing forward. Raise on up. Good, generous bend in that front leg. Make sure the knee doesn't go past the toes. Take one more inhale here, extend a little taller. Exhale, drop her down to downward dog. Pedal out the feet. The right side of the body should start to feel a little different than the left. It's almost as if we're inhabited by two different people living on either side of the fence. Our next inhale raises our left leg up. Again, toes are pointed down. The floor for the fingertips. Take one more inhale, extend that leg. Exhale, bend the knee, plant the foot. Inhale, rise on up into our lunge. Modifications for this pose. If you have a chair, you can drop in, sitting on our chair, bending our knee. Leg can still come back behind us, and we'll stack our body. So depending on your meniscus, this could definitely be an adaptation that might be beneficial. And it still makes the pose available to us. Our hips are still pointed forward. Those of you without a chair, I haven't forgotten about you. Inhale up. Exhale, drop the hands down. Come on back to downward dog. Let's take our knees wider than our hips, drop them down to the mat. Bring the big toes to touch. Drop our hips back to our heels. Forehead comes to the mat for child's pose. I'm going to stand up while I explain the pose, so I'm not talking into my mat. Arms are reaching forward. This is a great resting pose. At any point during the class, you can always come back to this pose. It's always there for you. And it's a good way to really ground down, open up the hips. If the hips are not as open, you can bring the knees closer together under the body. And that'll actually move them to stretch more into your low back. Take one more breath here, and we'll build on our lunge sequence. Take a nice inhale, really fill the belly. Exhale, come forward, tuck the toes. Back up into downward dog. Heels are driving towards the mat. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, bend the knee, plant the foot. Now we're going to drop the back foot, our left foot, the heel's going to drop. The toes are going to come out at a 45-degree angle. Hips are still square, right in front of us. Inhale, we're going to rise up. This is warrior one. As the yogis put it, Virabhadrasana, Gesundheit. We're sitting in our lunge. Our back leg is working towards straight, but if there's a bend in that knee, that's not a problem at all. We just don't want the front knee to go past our front toes. We're rising up here. And on our next exhale, we're going to send our right hand forward. We're going to hop our left foot back just a hair. Left hand comes out behind us. Arms are straight at shoulder level as we move into warrior two. Our front foot is forward. Our back foot is parallel with the back edge of the mat. So the legs are meeting perpendicular. The heel of the front foot intersects the arch of the back foot. Standing strong in our warrior, Virabhadrasana 2. Generous bend in that front knee. Gaze over those front fingertips. Inhale, flip the front palm, raise the arms to the sky, reverse warrior. So our hand is reaching for the sky, but the stretch comes from the body and the shoulder. So think about the arm as an accessory, but really raising that shoulder joint up towards the sky. That should open up the right side body. Take one more inhale for height. Exhale, back to warrior two. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Plant the palms. Back to downward dog. 3 breaths there. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Lisa, you were killing it, Lisa. Ruth Ann, you both are killing it.
My feet could come in closer to my hands, but I'm not flexible right now.
What's that?
I said I should bring my feet in closer to my hands like you said earlier, but I can't.
Again, yoga's for everybody and everybody. So find out how it works for yours. We'll bring that left foot forward now for our warrior sequence. And I'll show you how to use a chair for this one. So again, drop the back foot. We're on railroad tracks, not on a single ski. Hips are pointed forward. Rise on up into our warrior one. And if we're using the chair modification, our warrior one looks like this. Again, we're trying to keep our hips forward. That's the key in this one. Because in Warrior 1, our hips are pointing forward. And as we exhale and come into Warrior 2, our hips externally rotate and they open. So the arms are out. But now we have this accommodation in Warrior 2 with our chair. Getting a lot of the same benefits. Externally opening up the hip, building strength in the shoulders, awareness of where our body is, almost like you're trying to be wedged between two panes of glass. Yes, the yoga instructor remembers your legs are burning. He knows. Inhale. Rise on up. I can't tell you how many classes I've been in where they're like, they lost count. That's way more than 3 breaths. Or they forgot we're holding this pose. Inhale again, reaching for the sky, but extending through that shoulder. Really, the arm is just kind of an accessory. We really want the side body mindfully moving. Stretching. Exhale, come back to Warrior 2. Take a good breath here. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Come to your downward dog. Now, downward dog with a chair looks like this. Again, same benefits. Heels driving towards the mat. Arms are out in front of you. Back is straight. Ears, biceps are by the ears. Next, we're going to challenge the balance. And again, when it comes to balance poses, remember to be kind. It's amazing. We can either be our biggest cheerleader or our biggest critic. And I encourage you to be your biggest cheerleader because you guys are awesome. Everybody I've met through the foundation has been nothing but amazing and kind and has truly enriched my life. So I'm happy to be here with you guys today. Inhale the right leg forward. Exhale, bend the knee, bring through. Rise up into our Warrior 1. Now here's where things get fun. So we're going to move into what we call Warrior 3. We've seen number 1. We've seen part 2. We're ready for the trilogy. So from the Warrior 1 position, our hips are straight. And again, go to your edge. Root into that right foot. Really plant and distribute your weight evenly through the right foot. All 4 corners of the foot. And then the arms are going to come forward. The torso is going to come forward. And as the body comes up over the right foot, the left toes should start to get light. And our goal, as we slowly bend forward, is to raise that left foot off the ground and bring the heel in line with the hip. Arms are out in front of you. They can be at heart center. They can be behind you like an airplane. Toes are pointed down. Heel is flexed. As we move into Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. Start to feel a good wiggle in the ankle. Again, remembering to breathe, holding the pose. There you go, Apollo. Focus on something that isn't moving. I'm watching Apollo. He's moving. And slowly start to come out of that, bringing the left foot back by the right. Woo! The right glute should be saying hello. How are you? Shake it out. And with the balance poses, you know, they look great, but they really challenge you to focus on where things are. And that pivot point where the left toes get light, as you start to practice this stuff more, you really start to identify kind of that equilibrium that occurs. One thing I love about balance poses is that when you're doing them, typically you're not thinking about anything else. That's what I tend to get the most out of the time on my mat. So once we're ready to go again, inhale, we'll raise on up. Exhale, fold, drop the hands. We'll come back to down dog. And we'll find our warrior three on our left side. Inhale the hips up. Exhale, take a breath. Inhale, left leg comes up. Exhale, bend the knee, plant the foot. Drop the back foot as we raise up into warrior three. Warrior one. Warrior three is where we're going. And since this is being recorded and we're here today, if this is enough for you, stay here. Stay here in warrior one, work on building strength. If you want a little bit more, slowly start to bring that torso forward. Root into that left foot, let those right toes get light. Bend at the hips, waist comes forward. One long line of energy from the fingertips to your heels. Toes are pointed down. Breathing here. Again, hold the pose, not the breath. Breathing here, 2 more breaths. Find a little bit deeper into the pose. Exhale, bring the hands down. Yes, I was holding on to the table. Yes, it helps. So it's okay to laugh in the yoga class. It's okay to have fun. Check out the hips. So we carry a lot of energy in our hips, and we ask a lot of them throughout the day. So that's one of the benefits of yoga that I found. So on an inhale, we're going to come up into a star pattern. Exhale, we're going to drop down into our Yogi Squat. Now our heels are wider than our hips, our toes are pointed out. Now if this isn't very accessible to you, you can sit on a block or a foam roller or a chair. We want to focus on our knees pointing away from the body. Opening up here, rooting down. Our next inhale, we're going to come up, back to that star. Exhale, brings us into our squat. We got 5 more. Inhale up. Exhale, drop her down. Really let all the air out. Inhale up. Take it as much as you can. Exhale, let it all out. 2 more. Inhale, bring it all in, everything the universe has to offer. Exhale, drop her down, getting rid of everything that's not serving us. Inhale, rising on up. Exhale, all the way down. And breathe.
Can we just do those for the rest of the yoga class, please?
That's it. That's all you want? You got it. This is your practice. You do whatever you like. Anything that I'm offering is merely a suggestion. So Lisa Marie's going to do star squats for the rest of the class.
Yay!
Way down on my mat. So go ahead. You're just as much the star of this as anybody else.
Oh, I love that.
As we start to move down, I'm going to move forward a little bit. So now we've come to the part of the class that I like to call the low and slow. So we've worked through our balance. We've built up some sweat. Now we're going to move into some stretching. So come to an easy seat. And again, everybody's a little bit different. So if this isn't accessible, find something you can sit on to where you can bring your hips higher than your heels. That is going to make this much more accessible. There's a lot of folks that have trouble sitting cross-legged. So find something that's comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, your mind is not going to be on what you're doing. You're just going to be thinking about how uncomfortable you are and how much you don't want to be doing this pose. So find a way to get comfortable, and then we'll move through some twists. So on inhale, once you're comfortable, raise your hands up, and we're going to twist over to the right side, dropping our left hand to our right knee, bringing our right hand behind us. In order to complete the twist, take your gaze over your right shoulder. So we're completing that twist from the waist all the way to the top of the head, getting a nice, good rotation of the spine. But we want to sit up tall while we do this. We don't want to collapse through our shoulders. We're always opening up, opening that heart space, opening that chest, allowing our light to shine. Inhale, come up back through center. Exhale, drop it over to the left side now. Right hand, left knee. Left hand come behind you for support. Gaze goes over the left shoulder. As we breathe, allow the belly to fill. When we take a deep breath, we're not so much drawing in air as we are creating space for that air to enter. And it's so true with many aspects of our lives. Oftentimes we try to force things, but if we create the space for good things, they will find their way into our lives. We're going to move with our breath now through these twists. So our inhales come up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, raise up. Exhale, twist to the left. Two more each side. Inhale up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale up. Exhale, twist to our left. Inhale up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, back up through center. Roll the shoulders out. So again, depending on your mobility and your range of motion, you can bring the feet out in front of you, long-legged, heels are down, toes are up. And then we're just going to kind of open it up to our straddle. And again, this is based on your mobility and your range. This is as far as my straddle goes. It's one of the things that I am mindful of and I work on, but this is how my body works. So sit up nice and tall at the waist. What we're going to do, we're going to raise both hands up, and we're going to turn toward that right foot. So again, that turn, it's a small movement, but we're going to turn from the waist, and we're going to be facing our right foot. Take an inhale, stretch a little taller. Exhale, drop her down, reaching towards the toes. If you can catch them, great. If not, grab a shin, grab a thigh. We're working our head towards our knee, but we're not rounding our back, keeping our back nice and straight. And our inhales find a little bit of length in the body. Our exhales find a little depth in our stretch. Yeah, all I have today is my champy. That's about as far as I got on this leg. I'm excited to add another one this year, Apollo. Breathing here. Eyes can be open or closed. Now, when we come out of these poses, come out slowly. Head's the last thing to come up. We're going to raise the hands up, and then we're going to turn towards those left toes, that micro movement at the waist, Inhale, extend a little taller. Exhale, drop her down. Reaching for the toes. Being happy with whatever we find. It's like Lisa Marie said at the beginning of the class, no expectations.
That's right.
We will meet ourselves on our mats where we are at. Everybody has a different book and everybody's on a different chapter. But we're all here together on our little rectangles of healing. Again, your inhales find a little bit of length. Your exhales find a little bit of depth. Continuing to breathe. Slowly come out of this again, allowing the head to be the last thing to come up. Bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet together. Sit up nice and tall. So we've made a little diamond with our legs. So the farther out our heels are from our pelvis, the less intense it is on the hips. If you want a little more intensity, bring the heels closer to the body. And what we're doing, we're not pressing our knees to the floor. We're relaxing our hips, and that allows our knees to drop a little bit lower. So we sit up nice and tall. You can go ahead and grab the toes if you like, or the heels, or the arch of the foot. Allow the hips to relax to release the knees. And you can stay here, or if you want a little bit more, keeping the back straight, on your exhale, slowly start to come forward. Find that edge we've been talking about, honor it, and then once you find your edge, you can go ahead and start to round the back and drop the head. Again, our inhales find a little bit of length, and our exhales find some depth. Taking note of where we are at. Telling yourself, thank you. Thank you for spending this time with somebody special. Thank you for spending this time with me. Slowly come out of the pose. Again, having the head be the last thing to come up. And we're going to find our way onto our backs. So however you get there, one suggestion is planting the feet on the floor, knees are up, arms come out as a counterweight, and you can slowly lower down one vertebrae at a time until we find our way all the way to our backs. Resting our head on the mat, bring the knees into the chest, grabbing onto the tops of the knees. You can rock side to side, kind of massaging the muscles of the low back. Kind of a nice, yummy thank you for all the work that our bodies do for us. You can take opposite circles with the knees, moving in one direction, and then back the other way, moving through the range of motion in that hip joint. And whenever you've got enough there, extend the left leg along out in front of you. Grab the right knee with the right hand and pull it towards the shoulder, kind of as far as it'll go, just a little bit outside of the hip. Take a nice big belly breath here, let it all out. Take that right knee into the left hand now. Drop the right arm to the side, out in a T. And bring the left knee across the body, but try to keep the right shoulder on the mat. So the right knee may not make it all the way to the floor, and that's okay. We want to try to keep that right shoulder rooted on the mat. The right arm is our kind of our counterweight. And we want to just have a nice supine twist here. Again, gaze can go over the right shoulder to complete the twist. And it should feel nice and good. Breath can return to normal. Drawing awareness to how it feels in the body. Use that left hand to guide the right knee back in line. So we're back onto our backs now. Bend the left leg, grab the left knee, kind of rock back and forth, side to side. Now send the right leg along, heel drops to the mat. Take the left knee into the left hand and pull it towards that left shoulder, just outside the hip. Kind of guide the knee away from the body, outside the hip line, drawing towards that shoulder. Take a nice deep breath here. Use the right hand to grab the left knee now. Left arm comes out to a T. And then slowly guide that left knee across the body. Again, keeping your left shoulder on the mat. Gaze can go over the left shoulder. Really allow that belly to expand as you take nice deep breaths. Drawing inward. Breathe in, I am. Exhale, awesome. Breathe in, I am. Exhale, worthy. Breathe in, I am. Exhale, enough. Use the hand to guide the knee back over the body. Bring both knees into the chest now. And find any organic movement you need before we reach our Shavasana. Now, Shavasana, for those of you at home playing our home game, is the cessation of all movement. So allow the head to rest, allow the arms to hang heavy at your sides, feet fall away from the body, ground down and root into all the contacts with the floor. Feel all the points of the earth supporting your body as you remove any and all effort and soak up your Shavasana. I'll bring you back around momentarily. We are the stories that we tell ourselves. Be kind to others and be kind to yourself. Bring some movement back into your fingers, into your toes. And in your own time and in your own way, find your way back up to a seated position. Keeping the eyes closed. Noticing any change in the body from when we started our practice to where we are now. Let's take one last big inhale collectively, bringing the arms up overhead. Exhale, we'll bring the hands to heart center. In yoga, namaste means the light in me honors and loves the light in you. So I say thank you. I hope it helped. Namaste.
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 Okay. How did it go?
Good.